Deseos. I cannot believe we are on episode 68. Technically, this is still season 6, but you guys, I cannot tell you how happy I am right now. This is honestly not even trying to be extra like I am sometimes, but this is honestly one of the best days of my life. And this chapter has been a long time coming. And I've been praying for this. As you guys know, I've been talking about it for a while now with you all. Dallas means the world to me, and I can't wait to show you guys as a creator how wonderful the communities are out here. I moved here March of 2021 from California, and my life really changed. Dallas was the first chapter for me where I really knew that I was going to go somewhere very special and unique for my life. I went through a lot, as we all did during the pandemic, and I've talked about this also often, that I was 30 years old when I made the move from California to Dallas. And I had been steadfast in prayer for a long time about making changes after going through everything I had up until that point. And I really put my faith in God and trusted that there was something out there for me more than the life I had lived thus far. And I've always had so much to me when it comes to community and kindness and family and making sure that whatever space I'm in, wherever I'm at in the world, that I'm living in purpose and that I believe in everything that I'm a part of. And so for all those that are maybe tuning in for the first time, I just want to share a little bit more about my beginning to coming to Dallas and then full circle to why I'm back. So I'm from Sacramento, California. I'm from Fair Oaks. It's a small city. And I was born in Long Beach. So born in SoCal, raised in NorCal. And Fair Oaks really was home. You know, I moved there at 9 with my family. I'm the oldest of 3. And I'm Nicaraguan American. My mother's Nicaraguan. My dad grew up in LA, was an LA kid. And they met in Nicaragua, married and settled in Los Angeles. And that's why I was born in Southern California. I lived there until I was, I think, just a couple months old. And then we moved to Santa Barbara County, and I lived in Santa Maria. And for all those that know Santa Maria, it's well known for the agriculture. And my mom worked for Smuckers, and my dad worked for the state of California. Then at 9, my dad's job transferred and we went up to Sacramento, and that's why Sacramento is home. I moved there at 9, went to middle school, junior high, high school, and college in Sacramento, and then was at Sac State and then ended up moving to the Bay Area afterwards. And I lived in the Bay for 9 years, and the Bay changed my life. I talk about that often, that everything within, I always think of sports culture, you know, initially, but I moved there in 2010. So think about everything within the San Francisco Giants, within the A's, within the Raiders, within the Niners, within the Warriors, you know, there was a lot going on. And then the Sharks also, San Jose. There was a lot going on in sports culture and it just within tech. And I always tell people, everything that we hold at the palm of our hands, huge part of everything within tech is from the Silicon Valley. So going there at 20 years old and learning everything I did from my friends, from different people, again, that were in my life in different communities, being out and about in the Bay Area, it was such a beautiful time for me at 20 years old to be there and to learn from others. And I love soaking things in. As you know, I'm such a curious person by nature. And so I was just very excited. I remember moving there and learning from everything, and tech and all the different industries in the Bay. And again, like I heavily talk about sports, changed my life. And there were a lot of things I was doing then that I didn't realize that would lead to where I'm at today. I would always film the Bay Bridge and the bridges and my drive to and from San Francisco. I lived in Emeryville for 9 years, and that drive over the bridge was so comforting to me. I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh, I hate being in traffic or whatever. As long as I don't have a specific time to be somewhere, like I usually allow enough time for me to get from point A to point B within travel. And again, coincides with everything I do today. But I just really have always loved getting from point A to point B. And so I try not to rush it. And I started filming, you know, and again, I just had such a passion for that, showing people the Bay Area and how much I loved it, how much community was there within my friends, and the nature overall, the aesthetic, the architecture, the water, everything about the Bay changed my life. And I always say that SAC made me, the Bay raised me, and it really did. Sorry, I just mixed that up. I mean, that SAC raised me, the Bay made me who I am today. And I think it's important within anything that we do just to reflect on things. And again, in my 20s, I was living life in a very different way. And I was in a relationship, as you all know, if you've tuned into the podcast, for close to 10 years. And that relationship was unhealthy. And so there were a lot of different ways that I would find escapism literally in my day to day. I hung on to the things that made me happy, and I did it without a lot of people knowing. And so although I didn't know it then, photography and videography and showing people online like what my drive was like, just going over that Bay Bridge was beautiful to me. I would see sunrises, sunsets, all different types of weather, the clouds, as you guys know. I hang on to things because of different reasons. And where my mind goes right now is the fact that at 16, I was diagnosed with my heart condition. And I really feel like the fragility of life, like knowing how precious life is, since then, truly feeling it in different ways at 16, being diagnosed with what I have, that really has shaped my lens, and my perspective of the world. And so in my 20s, when I was going through all of this, I was just really appreciating everything. And I'm such a deep human being. I'm very empathetic for others. And so there was a lot of purpose in all I was doing back then, and making sure that my friends were okay, giving them support. I have beautiful, beautiful friends to this day from that chapter of my life in the Bay, women that come from so many different backgrounds. And in my first season of the podcast, I talked heavily about that chapter, because I was leaving the Bay for the first time. And so I will always, always give so much gratitude for the Bay Area and everyone that was a mentor to me then, and again, shaping everything. So let's fast forward to the pandemic. When I was in the pandemic, I had co-owned an acai franchise with my ex, and we had just opened in Sacramento. Our opening day was, I believe, I think it was October 9th. It was the first week of October in 2019. And when we opened, there was so much within the blessings, and we were opening in a government building. So we were on the first floor down the street from the Arena of the Kings. And it was just a beautiful time for us within growing this business. And no one could have predicted what would have happened only a couple months later with the pandemic. But November of that year, a month later, I turned 30, and turning 30 was a beautiful milestone for me. And I told myself I wanted to travel for the first time alone, to solo travel, because my sister had moved to Rome and I was going to see her for the very first time. And I wanted to see what Italy was like. I had never been to Europe. So I took this very beautiful, intentional trip from Sacramento to New York. I saw my friends in New York, and then I went to Madrid. I saw family in Madrid. I had this very beautiful vision of Madrid. And when I got there, it was very different, but in such a beautiful way. In a very funny way, like growing up reading like Don Quixote and reading different things of Madrid, I didn't realize how modern it is and the architecture. And I fell in love with that, again, in the downtown area of Madrid. So I was there, and then I went to London. I met up with my friend Jem, explored London, which is also just an incredibly beautiful city. I can't wait to go back. And I learned a lot. Again, I have a lot of movies. Again, I have always loved film, and there's movies that are based in London growing up that I was like, oh my gosh, I want to see like different filming locations, and I want to go to the parks, and I want to eat. And it's funny because when I was going there, I remember getting all these recommendations from friends and people saying, oh my gosh, like the food, like make sure that you're, eating from different parts of the world in London, like different culture. And so I had a lot of Spanish food, a lot of Indian food, a lot of Mediterranean food when I was there. And I had the best food experience when I was in London. It was beautiful. So there's a special place in my heart for London for sure. And then from London, I went to where did I go? Okay, I went straight to Rome after that. And I was with my sister, and seeing Rome was just everything. So this is the first solo trip for me ever in Europe, and I went back December of 2019 going, oh my God, I'm going to travel all over the world and I'm going to see so many different things and I can't wait. Like, there's going to be this new place for me after this opening of our second store. But then the pandemic happened and oh, bless my sister. Like, she came home for winter break that January and she was in store with me for 3 weeks and everything had really changed. You know, we had to shift things. It was mostly takeout orders. And if you know anything about California licensing within business and the food industry, and during that time, it was tough. It was tough for my 30-year-old self and being a young entrepreneur. And so she was there with me, but then the rest of January into September, it was rough for me. Like, I had different workers, God bless them, because again, we all, again, as a business owner, but again, as a human being, like, I work alongside everyone, and no matter what title, role, space I'm in, you know, we're all humans. So God bless those people that were with me. And again, everything was really difficult. I, at that time, wasn't with my partner anymore, but we were running this company from different locations and trying to figure things out. And just remember feeling very lost and scared because we were in this pandemic that we didn't know what was going to happen. Having a heart condition, people talking about the vaccine, my sister being overseas, we were separated for 11 months and it was just very difficult. So want to say like in April, May, at the beginning, I started going to these places in my mind of like, I just really want to leave California. And I'm sure inspired by that solo trip, but all in all, just the fact that I had been in this tumultuous relationship, very unhealthy relationship that we were now trying to figure out a business with, you know, as two exes, and I just wanted to leave. So I started dreaming, and I've always been a dreamer and a goal setter, but I really started dreaming on another level. And I looked at these YouTube videos for escapism, even when I was in store sometimes and it was slower. Again, it was we'd have a lot of takeout orders, but again, the walking, foot traffic was very different. So I remember like on my breaks and like during lunchtime, I would be sitting there and I would watch droning videos on YouTube. And then I would start watching these podcasts. And I was like, you know, being separated from my sister. And on that timing, I don't know what it was, but on Instagram, there were these podcasts that were pretty negative between men and women. And I remember being like, this isn't what the content should be. I would love to bring a place on the internet where I'm brightening people's corners on Sundays, because Sundays are my favorite day of the week, and really telling people like, hey, I am wanting to make sure that you're okay. We're all going through this, and I just want to be there for you in the same way that I'm there for my family. My family's there for me. And I wanted a way to connect with my sister, but I wanted to really empower other women and to give us, again, just a place we could laugh and cry and talk about real things and just to be very vulnerable. I've always been someone that can go deep with people, and I feel like at times that can be jarring, and you know, understanding where people come from and how, you know, it's not always common to talk about your emotions when you're first meeting someone, you know, but I always hold space for that. And even, let's fast forward for a second, most recently, really within everything I've been talking about is creating safe spaces so that we can get vulnerable, so that we can heal in whatever ways we need to, but also grow and evolve and just be there for one another, you know? So during this time, I'm dreaming, right? I'm dreaming about droning, and then I start dreaming about starting this podcast. And by September of 2020, I was like, all right, here's my plan. I'm going to quit. I'm going to sell my part of the business. I'm going to move, and I'm going to start finding out where I'm going to move to. So there were 3 cities that I had in mind. There was Seattle, because it's very similar to San Francisco. I have friends in tech. I could easily get a job there because of my network. And the atmosphere, from what I had heard, was very similar to San Francisco. And being in the Bay for 9 years, I was like, okay, this wouldn't be too difficult of a transition. Then I thought of New York, which my networking is less there, but I have a lot of friends. And again, I could find a space there in New York. A lot of people, a lot of different job opportunities. New York also would be kind of easy. Not easy, easy, but again, I knew people. And then there was Dallas. And with Dallas, I saw all the hubs moving from the Bay Area to Dallas. And I said, you know what? I really feel like I can find something here, a place that's my own, that doesn't have anything cemented within my family, like leading me here, my friends having any sort of say, and again, my ex. And I really, at this time in my life, was trying to get away from the blueprint plan that he had created for our life. And again, it's very common when you're in a relationship to have these goals and beautiful plans for your life. But what I realized at that timing was that for the majority of 10 years, I was helping someone else's dream and living a life where I loved someone, but our goals for our life, all in all, were not the same. And we had fallen in love really young and again, gone through so much, and things changed. And because of many reasons, I stayed. And so this was a chance after so much time to find something of my own, to find a way for myself and to learn. And a lot of people have talked to me, meeting me now at 35, and they go, wow, that was so brave. You didn't know anyone. But I have to give credit to my family, and I always will. My mother moved here at 24 years old after marrying my dad. That's a whole nother, I will talk about their marriage on another episode. Maybe when my parents come to visit, I'll have them. That'll be really fun, having them on an episode. I hope they say yes, because that would be really fun so that you guys can understand even more so the layers of my heart and how I think and how I process. The way I am as an older sister, as a human being, is 1,000% from their love, and their upbringings were very different from mine. So anyways, one day I'll bring them on so you can see that. But basically, I wanted to have a place in Dallas and go to a place where I didn't know anyone, and I found a way for myself. And so I said, hey, to my parents. I was like, hey, you guys have always been supportive of me. Mom came here really young. Vivian's in Italy. As an older sister, I've always been this glue in my family. And again, for anyone out there also that's an older sibling, I think you can kind of understand that, like, you kind of just take that role as like, I was like a second mom, just in the way that I emotionally felt. Not that I needed to be, but I felt, and I just always felt so innately obligated to like be at home and near my sister. And once she left, I was like, now it's my turn to kind of just expand my wings. And my brother had gone out of state for college and had lived in LA at this point, and he still does, but he's moving. Again, another episode. But I was at this point where I said, I just think this is it. So I came out here and I visited on a whim. I stayed at a hotel 7 minutes from here, and I'll never forget that because I had chosen a hotel that was just really greatly priced, great budget, and I started looking for apartments, and I found an apartment that so coincidentally is walking distance from these studios. Everything happens for a reason, truly. So I walked to that building, and as you guys know, the street is named after, it's not named after, but the street is the same name as my grandfather's. And to me, I was like, oh my God, it's a sign. And there was this beautiful cross in front of the Baptist church that I walked and stumbled upon. And I was like, I could feel him. He's always been a guardian angel, I have felt. And I just felt like that was a sign of that I was supposed to be here. And then I went into my building and I fell in love with it. And then what happened was one of the most beautiful experiences ever was getting to know everyone in that building. And I found a job within a month. I launched my podcast, as you guys know, and I started creating. And that was the first stepping stone to everything that you guys have seen in New York. And so Dallas really was that for me. And I didn't leave Dallas because I was done with Dallas. I left because of a work opportunity in New York. I felt like, okay, that was, as you guys know, I'm such a curious person by nature. When I feel a calling, I go for it. And again, I'm doing this at 35. I am trying to encourage people to do this at any age. But again, my sister was 18 when she went to Rome. That to me is like, do it. go to school overseas. Don't, do it for a semester, do it for longer, do it for your entire college duration, just travel. And I've really, really loved and appreciated more at 35 when people do a gap year after high school. Again, I just think it's so important to find yourself in ways outside of what you know. And I think traveling for me will always be so meaningful because my parents started having us travel since we were born. I was in Nicaragua when I was a baby, and we've gone ever since. And we go and travel as a family to different places. And that's very important for my family and our culture and all of our family is very blended within marriages. So all the cultures that are in my family. I grew up in the Nicaraguan culture primarily, but my uncle's Persian, my cousins are Japanese. So I grew up in this house that was just full of life, full of embracing our family, immigrating and being on our home. I have siblings, cousins that are feel like siblings to me because they grew up and were with us for a couple months to a year or more. And again, this has been my journey. And for anyone that's tuning in for the first time, I really want you guys to understand who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I want to share these beautiful things with you and why I want you on this couch next to me so that you guys know that I just want to share beautiful moments with you all. And after being in New York for 3 years, I've talked a lot about New York, so this is all about Dallas, this episode. I really, really, really want to grow the Dallas creator economy. It is beautiful. It is very expansive. I've connected a lot of people within content creation and videographers, photographers, podcasters, and these studios, I cannot, for me, again, a blessing that I found it and that it's walking distance from my home now. No excuses, literally no excuses. To not be filming, bi-weekly or regularly now and making sure that I'm, having wonderful people on this couch next to me. This podcast started so that I could empower others to dream. And I want you guys to dream. I'm dreaming. I'm always going to be dreaming, and setting these goals for my life. But I want you guys to know my story so that I can help share others' stories. And listen, this is episode 68, season 6. I'm going to keep season 6 until probably the end of this year, and then we'll get into season 7. But I really want you guys to know that after New York and coming here again, this is such a homecoming for me. And I knew that my mind, my body, my spirit were leading me back here to settle down and hopefully start a family of my own sooner than later. So I've been steadfast in prayer about that. Dallas, the moment I came here, was filled with so much love. And I'm going to show that to you guys. I'm going to show you all this wonderful content creation. And so I came on here first to have this first episode. I just landed last night to invite everyone to come on, but also just to come into my world and see what it's like. And for you guys to know that there is brightness at the end of the tunnel. And again, my whole life growing up in the family, in the church, in sports, I've always had these incredible mentors and coaches, and I have always held on to quotes. I love quotes. They've meant the world to me. And it just, seeing a quote anywhere in your day or someone saying something to you, whether it's a stranger, a friend, a family member, a loved one, it can be so tremendously impactful. And again, I've connected all these dots throughout my life looking back, and I'm sure 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years from now, I'll have so much more wisdom than I do now. But quotes mean the world to me. Words more than ever now that I've been writing in my hobby have meant the world to me. And I always want you guys to feel loved and to feel appreciated, to feel that you have purpose. And so I have created this space, but as you guys have seen within my branding, aside from the podcast, I've always held space for others. And I really have had these different messages over time where I'm like, if someone's speaking to you, we live in such a fast-paced environment now. Slow down. New York is such a go, go, go. Everyone's hustling. Everyone's doing what they got to do. I respect it tremendously. As an entrepreneur, again, making your way in New York, finding your lane, creating different lanes, creating something from scratch. I have met incredible people in New York. And again, people that are my communities, my loved ones, my friends out there, incredible people that have changed my life. It is in me. It will always be in my heart, in my mind, in my body, my spirit. And coming here again, I really want to grow the Dallas creator economy and be a leader in that, to teach others like, hey, this is Dallas. There's so much love and there's space for you in any way that you want to create as an artist, as a content creator, as a podcaster, anything with an artistry, anything. Again, I've been writing now more than ever the past year. And I really want to bring spaces in so many different ways here for people to dream and desire and to be in that creativity. I've noticed over time when we're in spaces with other creators that sparks just go flying, beautiful things happen. There's so much beauty in that unknown. And so just when you take that little step, that first step of, you know what, I'm going to go to this event, I'm going to go network, or I'm going to go to this fun outing, as a creator. So I want to create those spaces. That's why I'm back. And then again, to focus on settling down and slowing down. And so I'm going to do fun little segments, within days in the life, mini vlogs. I'm going to be podcasting regularly again. And then I'm going to be doing things like mukbangs, and again, just creating with others out here and showing you guys how beautiful it is. I've showed you guys over the past 3 years how beautiful New York was, and I can't wait to show you guys how beautiful Dallas is and what it is to me and what Texas means to me. So I'm just very excited, and I'm in this new chapter of my life. I get my keys tomorrow to my place, and I'm just praying about everything, as you guys know, that like God has really had a plan for me. And at times when that plan has felt like, okay, Lord, like, where am I going? Why am I going through this trial right now? Like, it gets hard. And I have a lot of people that I love in my life that are so incredibly independent, and I admire them tremendously. And as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a creator, as a sister, as a friend, as a daughter, I definitely try to be a leader in all the spaces that I'm in, and that ism came from the Bay for sure. It didn't come naturally to me, but I just always want to make sure that my voice, my truth, everything when it comes to my purposes in life are meaningful to me and are meaningful on the impact to others. And my loved ones and my friends know that they can call me anytime. And I have this capacity. Maybe it's because I'm not a mom yet. Like, I know that being a mother is one of my greatest dreams. Being a partner is, again, a place that I pray for all the time, of being just a beautiful soul shared with another beautiful soul. And so when I become a mom, I cannot wait. And so I have all this love to give, and I just want to keep spreading it. And I'm sure I'll continue spreading it as a mom too, to others. But right now, prior to doing that, I just really, really, really want to share my life with you. And it's just all about the journey. And so there's going to be, again, all these beautiful segments. As you guys have seen, I left Brooklyn and was in Sacramento for 2 weeks. And during those 2 weeks, I was showing the childhood home I was growing up in. And I very intentionally took those 2 weeks to be with my parents, to transition emotionally and spiritually, coming into a much slower state, which I've been praying about and praying for the things that God has in store for me next. And just being in stillness and being with our dogs and my best friends, my childhood best friends, and again, my parents. So I was posting a lot of our backyard, and I'm always practicing and learning within photography. So it always helps me better myself. In my day, I have these little goals, again, when it comes to my photography practice, my filmmaking process, everything that it comes to my marketing and media and everything that I'm doing in my day-to-day with my company. I'm constantly setting myself up to just be creative, but also hit these small goals for my larger goals. And it was a beautiful time these past 2 weeks of having a nice balance where I could be in peace, achieving everything I wanted to prior to coming here. So I'm just, you guys, I can't wait to show you Dallas again and to come back with 3 years of this content creative experience and just show you guys how beautiful it is. And again, I'm so excited for the unknowns. I'm so excited for what God's going to show me. So blessings to you all in your weeks. And I'm so excited that you guys are watching this. So when you'll see the sales really comes from the deep, my spirit, like in the deepest places of my heart. And I'm just so happy that I've been able to talk to you guys since 2021. And again, I appreciate everything. I appreciate the messages that you guys send me. I appreciate, again, listening to you and hearing you and understanding your needs within community and that space. So if you want to come on, please come on. I love people coming on. I love sharing other stories with the world. That's why I started this. So here I am being a little vulnerable, a little open, which I love doing. And I can't wait for you guys to be here on the couch with me. And I really want to invite men on. I've had men on before, but again, this has been a podcast that started as empowering women with our dreams and desires, but it really has evolved. And I have a lot of male listeners. So I want men to come on. I want to talk about sports and my love of everything within society and relationships and work ethic and success and what success means to us. And again, just have very beautiful, meaningful conversations in a safe space. And love you guys, appreciate you guys, and I'm so happy that you guys have watched this. And yeah, I'm sure I'll do some mini vlogs this week, and I'm wearing my boots, and I've been a little, I think, stiffer this episode just because there's like so much going on, but you guys are gonna see, you guys know me, I've been doing this forever. Like, this is like more of a formal episode for me. This studio setup, again, I'm going to keep shouting out Hello Studios. This studio setup, this room is beautiful. I cannot wait to have my girlfriends on this couch, and then all the women that are going to be on here and the men. And there's a lot of beautiful rooms in here, so you're going to see me being filmed in different rooms. So saying hi to this camera for a second. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm just so grateful to be here and to be able to speak again. And I feel like I could talk forever, but all right, today's Saturday, but I'm going to release this on Sunday. So happy Sunday wherever you are tuning in from, and just have a beautiful week. All right, take care, guys.